from 27th Psalm. There's something about the Psalms that grab me when I read them in devotional time. And some Psalms seem to, at various times in our lives and our situations, seem to grab me even more. And this week, this Psalm really did get hold of me, and I hope it'll grab you in the same way. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When evildoers assail me to devour my flesh, my adversaries and foes, they shall stumble and fall. Though an army encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war rise up against me, yet I will be confident. One thing I ask of the Lord, that I will seek after, to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For he will hide me in his shelter in the day of trouble. He will conceal me under the cover of his tent. He will set me high upon a rock. Now my head is lifted up above my enemies, all around me. And I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing and make melody to the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry aloud. Be gracious to me and answer me. Come, my heart says, seek his face. Your face, O Lord, do I seek. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Do not cast me off. Do not forsake me, O God of my salvation. If my father and mother forsake me, the Lord will take me up. Teach me your way, O Lord, and lead me on a level path because of my enemies. Do not give me up to the will of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, and they are breathing out violence. I believe that I shall see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord. Be strong, and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. The word of God for us, the people of God. Thank you be to God. Lynn, is everything all right?
I think it was an accident out here, and Stephen's truck got hit.
Oh.
Whatever. So I think everybody's okay.
Oh.
It's just good people got involved.
Oh, okay. Good. We just want to make sure everybody's all right. Let us pray. Lord, open our hearts and our minds that we may hear with joy your word for us this day. And as we hear, let it plant seed that will grow and bear fruit in our hearts, in our lives, in this church and beyond, now and forevermore. Amen. Glad we have folks that can respond to a need this morning. July of 1956, President Dwight David Eisenhower signed a joint resolution passed by both houses of Congress to have placed on American currency the words, "In God we trust." Those words first appeared on paper currency in 1957. I have seen those words many places. Bumper stickers, posters. I've seen them in schools. I've seen them in churches. I even seen those words this week on the town hall in Denton. Anybody ever noticed it? They're on right above the door of the town hall. I wonder, though, seeing those words that seem to be ubiquitous everywhere, is it just a slogan? Or do we really mean it? Do we fully grasp it? Do we understand it? Because I believe we live in an age that calls and challenges us whether or not we trust the Lord. Really trust the Lord. And I'd like for you to consider that with me for a few moments today. Perhaps the very best place for us to begin that consideration is with the Psalm. David had an extraordinary ability to voice, to put into words. He was, after all, a lyricist, a writer, songwriter. For us, the essence of that struggle of trust. And there are many psalms we call songs of trust that beautifully illustrate it, but the 27th Psalm, something about it, lets us know that David is proclaiming his trust in God in the worst times. Listen to his words. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom should I be afraid? He paints these word pictures for us so beautifully, so well done in this psalm. Notice, for example, he says, if evildoers assail me, they'll be defeated. If an army encamps against me, I will be confident. No matter what happens, I know, he said, I can trust in the Lord. Powerful words, powerful word pictures. But what does it really mean to trust in the Lord? What does it really mean to do that? Let's let the psalmist guide us and see how David understands it. First, it means that you and I have to make a choice. In this world today, we have to make a choice because we can only live one way. We will either be fear-driven or faith-driven. Fear-driven or faith-driven. Now, David chose to be faith-driven. Listen to his words. I will not be afraid. Why should I be fear-driven? He knew the solid rock of his faith. He knew what God had done, was doing, and could do in his life, in his faith. We have to choose too. Will we be fear-driven or faith-driven? If you're fear-driven, fear controls everything about your life. If you're faith-driven, you will live life fully because fear has no place. And you can embrace everything. There's nothing that can't be done. All things are possible with God, remember? And so faith-driven people believe that. I don't know if you've ever heard the name Gertrude Ederle. She was an American Olympian swimmer in the 1920s. She won the women's swimming Olympic gold medal at the same time that Johnny Weissmuller, who played Tarzan, won the men's, by the way. Well, Gertrude made up her mind. She wanted to be the first woman to swim the English Channel. In case you don't know, that's 26 miles of a piece of water that can go from calm to turbulent in a matter of minutes. In August 1926, she decided to swim. She had a manager helping, got everything set up. He's in the boat, she's swimming. She had swam for 8.5 hours. The water had been calm, suddenly it's turbulent and choppy. He panicked and ordered her to stop. They pulled her into the boat. She was only about 8 miles from shore. Gertrude was agitated. She fired the manager and hired another one. Set it up again and tried the 1st of September. And she was adamant she was going to make it because she was faith-driven, not fear-driven like her manager. See, he was acting out fear. And in 14 hours, she became the first woman to ever swim across the English Channel. Through hard, choppy waters. She did it. When we are faith-driven, nothing holds us back. As he was approaching his 80th birthday, President George Bush was asked by his family, "What do you want for your birthday?" He looked at Barbara and smiled and said, "I want to go skydiving." "You're 80 years old. I don't care." And so they flew into Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and President Bush on his 80th birthday did a tandem jump with a member of the Golden Knights, who are the elite skydiving team of the military. Not only did he do it on his 80th birthday, he did it on his 85th, and wanted to do it on his 90th, but Barbara put her foot down and said, "No, you're just too old." He had the faith to put his trust in the man that he was going to be strapped to. He trusted. He had his faith in parachute cords that would hold the weight of 2 men. 550 cord. By the way, that's what my cross is made out of. Because they know that it'll hold. We know that God will hold. If we're faith-driven, we know God's going to be God. God's not going to change. He's not going to give up. He's not going to let go. Fear-driven? Faith-driven. We have to make a choice. We have to decide if we will trust the one who has the power to handle anything that comes our way. Now, David had one of the greatest armies in the world. And yet he said, "I don't care what comes at me, I'm going to trust God, not my army." Because armies fail. See, we have seen through history that even the most powerful and ruthless military and governments who have tried to handle everything couldn't do it. They failed. Human power is limited. It always has been and it always will be. There is only one that can handle everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. The government can do wonderful things, but it can't handle everything. It fails at strategic points. There's only one that can do that. Remember that story where Jesus was in the boat with the disciples? He was asleep, enjoying a nap, and a storm came up, and the disciples were scared to death they were going to die. And they woke him up and said, Lord, we're going to die in this boat, and you're taking a nap? And Jesus raised his hands and spoke to the wind and the waves and said, Peace, be still. And suddenly it was. No more wind, no more waves. The Sea of Galilee was tranquil and placid. And the disciples looked at each other and said, Who in the world is this man that the wind and the waves have to obey? Now, which power are you going to trust? Power of government, which is sizable, or the power of one who can speak to the wind and the waves? Who do you trust? Before he was ever elected Pope, Karol Wojtyła was the Archbishop in Poland. He later became John Paul II, by the way, when he was elected Pope. But when he was Archbishop, he wanted to do the annual Corpus Christi celebration there in Poland. It celebrates Corpus Christi is Latin for the body of Christ. It celebrates the power and meaning of the sacrament of communion. And he was going to do it with a parade and an outdoor mass. The communists who controlled Poland said, Oh, no, you're not. He said, Oh, yes, we are. And they walked carrying a cross, and they walked carrying the sacrament, and they had a mass outdoors, surrounded by communist soldiers with loaded guns pointed at them. And the Archbishop said to them, You can shoot us if you choose, but we will worship the Lord. And right there in the open, surrounded by a violence threat, he held a mass, and people were there, and they received the sacrament, and their lives were touched. After the Berlin Wall fell, one of those leaders of the unit was interviewed about that situation. And he said, You know, we have weapons against everything, but we have no weapons against prayer and faith. No weapons against prayer and faith. God handled that. And the Archbishop had the faith that God could handle that and handle anything. Even when an assassin shot him down, he was hit twice. He never lost that faith in believing that God can handle anything. We have to decide, are we faith-driven or fear-driven? Will we put our trust in the one who has the power to handle everything? Or will we try to put our faith in the government, in other agencies? Finally, we have to decide whether or not we're going to trust our future into the hands of God, or whether we're going to try to handle it ourselves. Many people think they got the future in their own hands. Many people think, again, the government can take care of it, or the leaders, or the people who are out front who have all the right ideas, they can handle our future, we'll trust them. Once more, we have seen the foolishness of that, and we've seen how people have been broken and disappointed because they were willing to trust their future to somebody who made a promise. There's a man sitting in the federal prison in Butner, North Carolina right now, and will be there for the rest of his life because a whole lot of people trusted their future to him in the form of their money because he made big promises that Bernie Madoff could not deliver on. And they lost a lot of money, and he's spending his life in prison. Who do we trust our future to? This week we have seen another scandal blow up where wealthy people, celebrities, were using their money and influence to buy admission into elite universities for their children. It's blown up. They're affected. Their children are affected. They thought they had their future in their hands. They could handle it. They could control it. Not so. When we try that, it's foolishness. Always foolishness. By the way, the thing that struck me was that notion that young people can't be successful unless they have a degree from USC or Harvard or Stanford or Yale. Not so. Not where the degree comes from, it's what you do with it. Yet we see it happen. People think they can handle the future, put it in their hands. When I was in high school, a student who was a year ahead of me, I'll never forget, John McNeil. John was the first person in our county to ever do it. He scored a perfect 1600 on the SAT. Perfect 1600. He was absolutely brilliant. John was offered a free ride, that means paid, everything paid, to Yale University. And he went to Yale University in New Haven, and he spent 6 weeks there and came home and told his parents, it's not for me. That's not my life. We think we know. No. Our future belongs in the hands of God, who has seen the future, who knows it already, who's there ahead of us. Who do you trust your future to? Bruce Larson was a minister in New York. His office was right on Fifth Avenue. And often people would come to him for counseling who were struggling with big issues in their life, big decisions. And Bruce had a standard therapy he did with everybody. He said, let's take a walk. And they would walk down Fifth Avenue to the RCA building, where there's a statue in the lobby there of Atlas. Remember Atlas, the Greek god? He's holding the globe on his shoulder. And the weight of it is, and you know, he was maybe the strongest man in the world. The weight of it was crushing him. You can tell he's in agony. He can't hold it. And after they look at that and talk about it for a few moments, Bruce says, let's take a walk. And they walk back across Fifth Avenue to St. Patrick's Cathedral. And there in the chancel, there's a statue over in the corner of Jesus as a boy. A boy, about 10, 11 years old. And he's holding his hand like this, and in his hand sits the globe. There is no weight, there is no stress. He's holding it with a smile on his face. And Bruce said, now which one you going to trust? The one that can't handle the weight, or the one for whom it's absolutely no problem? In God we trust. Really? Easy to say, not so easy to do. Because it means surrendering ourselves, our wills, our ideas. It means to move from being fear-driven to being faith-driven. It means being willing to trust our hearts and our lives into the hands of one who can handle anything, no matter what it is in our life. And it means to put our future in His hands. Even when we can't see it, God already has. And His preferred future is the right one. We are only taking a shot in the dark when we think we know better. Who do you trust? It's one thing to write it on currency. It's a whole other thing to write it on your heart. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. To serve God and your neighbor in all that you do, trusting in the one who wants to hold you in the palm of His hand, right next to His own heart. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift the light of His countenance upon you and give you peace, now and forevermore.